How's it going, guys? I'm Connor from Running Warehouse. I'm here with Paul from ASICS, and today we are going to be taking a first look at the new ASICS Magic Speed 5. Now, Paul, the Magic Speed series has gone through several iterations over the last couple of years. It started off as that racing shoe, kind of that sibling to the Metaspeed, and with that last version, it kind of morphed into more of that performance trainer. Now with version 5, we've got another complete revamp from top to bottom. Might just be the fastest, most innovative Magic Speed to date. Can you guide us through this shoe? Tell us about that inspiration and where it fits in the line.
Yeah, I think when Magic Speed first came out, it was all about this idea of closer to the ground, more nimble. But as it evolved and we kind of climbed up in stack height, it became a little bit more of an adaptive trainer. With Magic Speed 5, the idea was to return to our roots, come a little bit lower, get a bit lighter weight, become more nimble in experience. So some pretty big changes on this one. A massive reduction in weight, down to 193 grams. I think almost a 50-gram loss from where we were. A really big drop in stack. Rear foot's down to 37.5 millimeters, so we're World Athletics compliant again. A carbon plate, and on top of that, FF Leap foam. So that premium racing foam that we saw in the Metaspeed series, the Ray, the Sky, and the Edge, bringing that down into this kind of lower profile, nimble racer.
Yeah, well, let's dive a little bit deeper into the foam. That's what makes the racing shoe so special, and we've seen that FF Leap in these top tier racers, offering amazing energy return. What kind of compound is FF Leap, and how is the setup going to be in this shoe?
Yeah, so it's a ATPU. It's a super responsive, really bouncy but resilient foam. We layer that with that carbon plate. It's been kind of fine-tuned to give us a little bit more of a responsive ride than we were in previous versions. And then all that sits on top of a layer of Blast Plus, which helps kind of stabilize that foam and provide a little bit more of responsiveness under the foot as well.
So with this setup, definitely a little bit more inherently stable. Would you say someone who wants something maybe a little bit more comfortable, maybe over-pronates a little bit, might get a better experience over some of the other racing shoes in the line?
Yeah, I think we could say that, but the biggest thing for us is just dropping that stack, becoming more nimble, creating some more difference from the Metaspeed. All of that is stacked at those, maximum World Athletic compliance heights. So starting to come down a little bit lower, giving us the ability to be more nimble. We think about cornering in super shoes sometimes and how that can be a little tricky. This is going to be a really nimble, snappy, lighter weight, closer to the ground version of Magic Speed than we've ever had.
Yeah, so you're just giving runners more options on race day for training. I'm sure the elites will probably use this for tempos, interval efforts, but we will also probably see just your everyday runners wearing this for half marathon, marathon race day.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when we look at that racing line, we want to have a full offering. So you can come in, with hyper speed, simple introductory to racing. We move up to something like this where you get your carbon plate, you get that super foam. You can move up to Metaspeed, Tokyo Sky, the Edge, and then Metaspeed Ray when you're really ready to let it rip and you want to be under that 5-ounce mark.
Yeah, well, we keep bringing up the Metaspeed because it does have some inspiration. Let's move on down to the outsole. Well, what's taken from Metaspeed here, and how does this set itself apart?
Yeah, I mean, you can see that we've got some clear design inspiration from Metaspeed underfoot. Though we've got some pretty significant rubber coverage here. So the idea is we want to provide significant traction, grip, and inherently a little bit of stability underneath the foot in what's still a really fast, speedy shoe.
Now, wrapping the shoe all together, we got the upper. Again, with the racing shoes, it's all about balancing lightweight with that comfort to go that distance. What do we have here?
Yeah, you've got this really great kind of light, breathable air mesh. It just looks fast. We got our Ecodin green color here that we'll see kind of starting to pop up all over as we enter that racing season. Light, breathable, but still going to keep you locked down over that footbed of carbon plate and ATPU.
Yeah, everything you need for race day. Magic Speed 5, again, is just giving runners more options. We've talked a little bit about all the different uses. For yourself, where do you feel like you're going to find this in your own personal racing training lineup?
That's a good question. I think that there's days where you want to get out and do some tempo intervals. I like something like this just because it feels to me like I'm a little bit more in tune with the ground, that I've got a little bit more, control if I'm carrying over fatigue. If I'm also running anything, that is a little bit more curvy, let's say race course wise, you start getting around some of those turns. We've got some local 5Ks where it's, U-turns and you're running the side roads, and I like something that can be a little bit more in contact with the ground, a little bit more nimble, and that's what I'll use Magic Speed for.
Perfect. Well, for people looking to try this shoe out for themselves, when can they have it?
They can have it January at Running Warehouse.
Perfect. Come get your pair.